Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Out of Left Field. I'm going to be your host as always, Blake Helm. Joining me is my brother, Joseph Albsmeyer. This is a little recap before we get into the episode here, but we are back. We haven't done one in probably half a year, so we got back in the saddle. I got my little man helping me here. Say hi, Bodie.
Hi, Bodie.
Perfect. So we hear from Joe and his summer, kind of what he's been through, work stuff, figuring some things out with himself. We talked about some things with me. I'm going to be going on the San Madonia show this weekend. It's Saturday. We talked about Joey co-hosting with Dusty Bensko. We talked about my College World Series experience. We talked about how things kind of shifted for me when I went to go meet with Outbox Media. That was incredible. Some changes for us. We talked about being rooted in Central Illinois. We talked about different pod guests. We talked about Cam Appenzeller, how things are kind of exploding for us here. College guys, expanding who we talk to, following guys through their stories, some of the big stories that are coming up. Jonathan Huizinga, Ian Jenkins, Stacey Nelson, Brad Sellinger, Griff Juergens, just some really fascinating people coming up. Mike Seander, Just Mike, the recording artist. We talked about how I got a hold of him. We talk about T-ball, coaching T-ball, watching your little ones, excel and do well. We talk about merchandise, sponsors, and then we end with a little tribute to Joe's father-in-law. I hope you guys appreciate this. All right, Bodie, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I got hi, Bodie.
Good. Say bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Here we go. Hope you guys enjoy. This is going to be Out of Left. We are proud to be brought to you by Hudson Chiropractic and the Hudson family, located in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. You can find them at 3232 Independence Street, HudsonChiroCape.com, 573-335-7349. They've got over 700 five-star reviews, all five-star reviews on Google. That speaks for itself. This is, of course, my former teammate, friend, brother, Murray State great, Seth Hudson, an all-time great second baseman in Racer history. He finished second all-time in hits when his career ended. Hudson Chiropractic, your bridge to a better health. They can do everything you can think of chiropractic-wise, adjustments, soft tissue, DOT exams. Seth is really doing his thing down there, and Cape has a beautiful family, raising a couple sluggers. We really appreciate your support. Thank you, Hudson Chiropractic and family. We are also brought to you by BOS, Bank of Springfield, and Jason Knadler. The Bank of Springfield has essentially a whole baseball team over there. I'm talking guys like Jason Knadler, Justin Knadler, Timmy Ballin Wallen, Eric Weaver, Ryan Murphy, Murph Mathiot, Frank Stefano, Greg Morantz. I trust every single one of these guys to handle my money and to steer me in the right direction financially. There are 3 locations across the greater Springfield area for your convenience. Bank boldly with BOS. We really appreciate you guys. This episode is brought to you by Glisten Heating and Air. You can reach them at 217-341 or visit glistenheatingandair.com. That's GLISSON. This is owned and operated by Gibbs Gleason himself, a member of the 2000 Pleasant Plains baseball team that were state champs. That's the Dusty Bensko era, former guest. This guy's in the baseball community. He helps coach his son, who's in the local travel scene. This truly is the pros pro for HVAC in the area. I mean, this is a who's who of former pros that have used him. Let's talk about Corey Erickson, Jason Worth, Ryan Murphy, Jason Knadler, Justin Knadler, Brad Owens, Greg Morantz, Jason Washam, Eric Easley. His reviews speak for themselves. Call Glisten Heating and Air. They care about your air. We appreciate you. We are also brought to you by The Crafted Stag, located at 3455 Freedom Drive, 217-698-6300. Your wardrobe is about to get a lot more interesting. The Crafted Stag Supply is Springfield's newest and most exciting destination for discerning gentlemen seeking quality clothing, accessories, and lifestyle goods. Nestled in the heart of Parkway Point shopping area, we offer a unique and one-of-a-kind shopping experience featuring barber services, bar refreshments, entertainment, and more. Guys, I can't tell you how excited I am to be partnering with Crafted Stag. This is Grant Hammer, of course. Great family friend. Actually, my first ever organized baseball was sponsored by his dad. We were the Hammer Slammers. And I'm very close with his younger brother, Jordan. Jordan did the logo for the post-game spread. Grant is a great guy. What he's doing out there, the Crafted Stag, is unique. It is tailored for, great clothing, a great experience. It's for men. I love what he's doing. Um, couldn't be happier to be a part of this. Go see the Crafted Stag for all your needs that I just mentioned. Barber services, bar refreshments, the greatest clothes, entertainment. I know Grant is always out there seeking better styles, looking for new things. So stay up with this guy. He's incredible. Go see the Crafted Stag. We appreciate you. We are proud to be backed by Salvaggio Steel. Salvaggio Safe is their motto. These guys have been in business building rails for over 60 years, and they've always been incredible about putting money into the sports community, into the athletic community in the greater Springfield, Central Illinois area. And I'm absolutely honored that they felt like I had enough, like we were doing something special enough to be invested in. So they do it all. I mean, you guys can go look at them for, doing precision craftsmanship in many categories, including structural, miscellaneous, ornamental iron. They're AISC certified. These guys are just the best in the business. We really appreciate them. This deal was also brokered by good friend John Chisholm, who works there as well. So we appreciate Salvaggio Steel, Salvaggio Safe. Thank you. We are also supported by Washco Strength and Speed, Overtime Training Academy, Body Symmetry, Sheehan & Sheehan Lawyers, Milner Dentistry, the law offices of Stephen Kelly with Matt Brewer, Sitco Chiropractic, Eric Easley the Realtor, the Kaiser Family, the Office Sports Bar and Grill, Hammers Radon Mitigation, BSN Sports, Cardinal Cleaning, the Crafted Stag, GT Performance Consulting, Safe House Illinois, Nate Guernsey the Realtor, and Shamrocks Baseball Club. We appreciate all of you. We could not do this without you. Thank you. Okay. I'm hesitant to say we're back because this is third time's the charm, maybe. What do you think we got going here? Yeah?
Yeah, listen, I need 3 at-bats to get a hit anyway, so third time.
We've been going through some shenanigans trying to get this going here today. It looks like we have figured it out. Riverside was being temperamental. Some of Joe's tech was being temperamental, but we are back here for another Out of Left. This is, of course, myself, Blake Helm, the host, and my longtime co-host of Out of Left, teammate, good friend, all things, Joseph Albsmeyer, all things wrestling as well. I see you got a wrestling shirt on here today. Show me it. Yeah, loving it.
Not that I thought this was going to come up, but maybe my favorite new thing. WWE has slap bracelets now for $5 at Walmart.
You just walk around with those things on?
So the kids and I like to wear them around the house, and I just took my son Crew to Raw. But I have found myself wearing them around the house, and then I had to take my dog to the vet this morning, and I forgot that it was on. And I'm just sitting in the vet's office with my dog, and this WWE thing around my wrist, like I'm completely didn't acknowledge it at all. It's like I just wear these around all the time.
Normal. It's just normal for a 41-year-old man to be running around with WC slap bracelets on.
All right, so I'm gonna.
That's cool. Yeah.
I'm gonna wear the WWE Championship for this pod, I guess, since I just do this all the time now.
What were those wrestling buddies that were? Remember those when they were kind of like stuffed animal almost things when we were kids?
Yeah, I still have the Ultimate Warrior right upstairs in the playroom. They were, I think what were they called? Just maybe wrestling pillow buddies or wrestling buddies or something. Yeah. No, I had like an original one when I was a kid, and then. Like when all the eBay and reselling stuff came back around, I bought another one. Actually, I think my mom bought it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember actually like trying out moves on those things. Like they were like an actual person, like folding them up and stuff when I was a kid. And
so now my kids have graduated to the big like 4 foot tall stuffed bears. So we have 3 of them that their arms and legs move and stuff like that. They're just giant teddy bears. But yes, that's what they broke in as is wrestling moves on the couch.
I love it. Well, let's dive right in, my friend. It's been a while, but I think it'd be fun to recap some of your summer, and you share what you want to share because we obviously are personal friends and we go back and forth and share things. So you share what you're comfortable with, but you've had some things that you've gone through in the last year or so. And I just want to say before you get into it, I'm really proud of you for some of the realizations that you've come to, and a lot of people go through life not being able to open their eyes to some things and their own issues and things. So anyway, I'll let you go and we can just riff.
Yeah, by full perspective and everything is great, right? I mean, kids are happy and healthy, and we have jobs and fun activities and all that. But just for whatever reason, this particular year with my job was really tough.
Hmm.
Just on the sales side, you get ups and you get downs and stuff, and then just kind of the realization that my in-laws are really the only ones that live around us, right? Like
Yeah.
unless you live in the town that you grew up in or college, or you have another set of friends, like your life kind of becomes your family and maybe like other sets of parents that have kids around your age.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I don't have people here that I enjoy and that I can spend time with and things like that. But ultimately, because of social media, probably in some things, you're able to keep in touch. And so
Yeah.
I've got my high school friends, I've got my college friends, and then maybe some people that I work with. But for the most part, I'm a remote worker that lives in Dallas, and my
Yeah.
coworkers are all in Louisville, right?
Yeah.
And so I just found that since my father-in-law passed away, I never dwelled on it much when he was here. But like, man, that was my go-to guy, right?
Yeah.
Like that was he tagged in with me with the kids, and he would come over, and he was retired, right? So I mean, he would just talk to me about work, about life, about whatever, and he was always really good about every 2 or 3 weeks he would just come over and we would sit and chat, right? And I don't want to say that I took those for granted, but maybe I didn't realize how much of a reset button those were for
Yeah.
me.
How
So,
impactful.
yeah, so I was not the best dad this summer. Just three boys at home. They're 12, 10, and 7
Yeah.
now, and my daughter went to daycare and all that. But when expectations are often high with sales and remote sales too,
Sure.
right? And so like I've never really been the one where like you can strike out and just let it go from your mind and go up to your next at bat with a
Same.
clear head, right?
Yeah.
Like I carry things from one spot to the next,
Same.
right? And that man, that it stacked up and it built up, and it was just like, um, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining like things aren't good, but like when you get in your head that you're like, lost that, lost that, lost that, lost that, and
Yeah.
which in sales you got to be prepared for, right? But
Right.
like you don't have other positive things around you and other affirmations to kind of
Balance you
reset
out. Yeah.
your baseline. Things can get dark in your own head, right?
Sure.
And I kind of went into a little bit of self-sabotage mode. It kind of went like, okay, well, if I'm not doing this, I need like now I can't have the kids talk to me during the day whatsoever. So now it's like now I become bitter against them that I've got to drive them to their camp and rush back home for a couple of hours, then go get them from their camp again. Then I get really desperate for meetings and trying to close
Sure.
business, and it's like I just not the best person, right? So
Yeah. I get
yeah,
that.
it was a downward spiral thing, and I kind of got into this mode where it was like I'm going to be so self-aware of it that like I'm going to get ahead of it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's almost if you're um I put a lot of like unrealistic expectations on myself, and I start thinking like everybody's noticing the same things I'm noticing, which I know is not the case, but it's
Right.
like if you're in the lineup and you go 0 for 12, and in your mind you're like everybody's
Right.
thinking I'm out every single time. Like
Yeah.
like I can't stay in the lineup. Like they can't keep me in there. And then you keep getting in the lineup, and you start thinking, I'm like, why is he batting me here? Everyone knows I haven't gotten a hit in 3 weeks. And that's kind
Yeah.
of how I felt in my professional life,
Yeah.
right? And so here I am thinking, I'm like, well, if I don't close something this month, I'm like, it's time to move on, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
And then couple that with, probably wasn't the best husband, not the best dad. I'm short with them.
Were
And
you, were you
what
feeling down on yourself about those aspects in ways?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and so it's I mean, because I kept telling myself, I'm like, well, it's all just work related, right? Like as soon as I sell something or as soon as I win one of these bids, I'm
I'm
going to turn
good.
it around.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the case with us too. I kept putting you off on doing one of these, and I'm like, hey, listen, I don't
Need to
feel
get that
right.
sale in. Right.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't feel right taking 2 hours out of the middle of the day when I'm not like hitting my goal,
Like you
right?
didn't deserve
And
to do that.
exactly, yeah, just
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. That is kind of the feel. Like there were some times too that like um, I started to feel like I don't deserve to have fun either. Like I'm
Right.
allowed a pretty
Wow.
flexible schedule, right? Like as
Yeah.
long as I'm making my number of calls, I'm closing business, I'm doing what I need to do.
Sure.
No one is here checking up on me saying, "Hey, did you clock 8 hours behind the computer or behind the desk?" Right?
Yeah.
As long as the goals are being met. And so from time to time, does that mean on my lunch break I could go up and hit some golf balls or walk outside or get some exercise or run errands? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But man, over the summer I just stopped doing that. Just really normal things, and it did come from a place of like, I don't deserve to have fun, or I don't deserve to do this until I close something. And I think that also comes with expectations of having kind of a higher role, right? Like I'm our director of sales, I'm trusted with some of our biggest accounts.
Yeah.
A lot of those things. So from that perspective, I've never had that. Like I've only ever done sports tourism in my professional career post college. Like I worked in restaurants and I did some other stuff and things, but I just never hit a snag like I have this past year. And it's just kind of like, when everything just kind of compounds itself. And I can't, I wanted to make this point was I got away from the things that made me good before or made my company good or whatever.
Ooh,
and it's so funny because that parallels itself in my playing career too. Sharing a little bit on the Lincoln Land thing, when I came there in the fall, we had our first, wood bat season in the fall. And then actually the assistant basketball coach at the time saw me at a high school game over Christmas break. And they had, I think, 2 players ineligible and 2 players with injuries. And he just kind of stopped me and he's like, "Hey, you miss it, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I miss it." And he's like, why don't you join us?" And I'm like, "What? What do you mean? Why don't I join you? How does that even work?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, we're in desperate need of guards. He's like, "Just come with us." And I knew nothing, right? Like I absolutely should have gone to Bull and talked to him about this, but I thought in my head, I was like, well,
that's cool.
They're the coach of the college team. Like obviously they had this authority and I desperately wanted to, right?
Yeah.
So I say that to say, I then went and played basketball for 2 months right before the baseball season. I was doing both sports for an overlap of probably 3 weeks or so and realized I absolutely could not do it. It was way too much. I mean, it was just too much. But anyway, then when I got into the spring season, I had this 2-month run up of the best conditioning you could think of. And what made me good that year was speed, right? Speed and stamina and all that stuff.
You stole a lot of bases your freshman year, didn't you?
I did.
About 20 bags?
Second in the conference, 24-ish, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for whatever reason, I just decided, hey, that's not enough. And now all of a sudden I'm going to try and get really strong and hit bombs. Yeah. And no one stopped me. And they were like, "Hey, idiot, you're good because you were fast this year. Like just stick with what makes you good."
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line in my professional life over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been number one, just amazing growth off the charts, lightning in a bottle, riding the momentum, everything. And then there did come a time probably last year where we just kind of everyone got comfortable and we're like, "Hey, this is rolling. Let's put some things in place that just makes it more efficient. Let's make things easier on us." Mm-hmm. And so they did, right? Like we got some tools and some resources and all that where it's just like, hey, our proposals can go through really quick. But then somewhere along the line, what makes us or makes me really good is that personal connection, right? Like building that trust, making friends, relating to them.
Sure.
And this summer, I got super deep into the weeds on, am I pitching all of our features right? Am I pitching our process? Am I reaching out the right amount of times? Am I saying the right things, the right financial commitment? Mm-hmm. And in that, I sort of drove myself mad.
Sure.
And instead of just being like, "Hey, did you make friends with them? Like, did you connect with them?" And I got away from that, right? So
I love
I
love how you're bringing this home. This is great.
Well, as I'm in my downward spiral of like thinking that all of this is about me and what I'm doing and all of that, it is one piece of business that I lost. I asked for some feedback. And I'm thinking like, man, I didn't describe our technology good enough. I didn't, this or that. And the guy just goes, "No, you had some really great points and some really good referrals, but I think we're just more familiar with another group." And he's like, so basically, somebody else had taken them to dinner, and was more familiar. And it, for whatever reason, it snapped me out of it.
Really?
And I was like, how did I get so far out of what worked
What
and
makes
in
you
my own head
successful?
of like all
Yeah.
different things. Yeah.
Beautiful,
And I'm
man.
glad that I did because you and I have talked before about like, and if I relate this to baseball too, like sometimes you just got to get out of your own head of
Yep.
thinking, what am I doing with my feet, my hands, my timing? Am I guessing pitches? Is the sun shining the right way?
Yeah.
This guy always throws that pitch. And sometimes you just got to get up there with a clear head and remember like what got you there. So funny enough, once I've gotten past all of that stuff, and I know that I've shared this with you, like I thought that they were going to let me go, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah. You're
I
worried.
knew I was a good person, knew I was a good worker.
Sure.
I thought that they might offer me some way to switch or whatever. But ultimately, when it came to a head, we did make a change, make a different personnel change
Right.
that kind of freed some things up. And for me, it was like getting Big Mo back in the dugout, like just for no other reason whatsoever, just a couple of things in the right place, and boom, all the leads started coming back. I closed like 5 pieces of business in a month.
Beautiful.
Got some big, huge renewals. But yeah, there was, and along with that, once school started back, I desperately needed that routine again.
Yeah.
Like I needed the kids back into school,
Mhm.
back in there, out of the house or whatever. And so, yeah, it's changed, but I'm going to keep rambling here, but like even
No, you'd be great.
so to compound in the summer. So like we took this family trip to Costa Rica,
Yeah.
which should be like a bucket list, like never going to forget this type of memory ever. Right.
Sure.
And I think because of how I felt in the summer and I was putting so much pressure on myself, and like, it was right during that time in the middle of the summer where it's like,
Couldn't even enjoy it.
well, I think to myself, I'm like, I start thinking instead of enjoying time with my family and time on the beach in another country, I start thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, people are going to see me post pictures and be like, what in the hell is he doing on vacation?
He's not made
when
any
he has
sales. He doesn't deserve to go on vacation.
Yes.
Wow.
And which now seems so ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, no one is looking at me that close, or no one is such a jerk that they would do that anyway,
Right.
right? Like, you're not allowed to make it. But I'm not kidding you. In the moment,
Right.
you don't go from 0 to 100, right? But like when you go from 85 to, if I was already at 85,
Yeah.
and then just in my head I start thinking, I'm like I just didn't feel right about totally letting loose and just enjoying the time and feeling like I deserve it and all that. And so, I think that was the same with, the kids playing sports and coaching sports and all the time. It just became, I don't know, a learning lesson for sure. And, to kind of keep things into perspective and not to bring it back around to, I think that was a product of not having my father-in-law around, is that there just wasn't anyone for me to reset that perspective and just, because you don't want to dump this on everybody, right?
Sure.
Like if I go play golf with my buddies, I'm not talking about this, right? Like we're just out there to have a good time and it's light and that. So man, very, very, very long-winded intro. Find yourself a mentor or a perspective, person that resets you, or someone that just, you can talk to about the deep stuff. Cause man, I didn't realize and it's not like these are, I can talk to my wife too, right? Like, but like when I'm talking to her, it's more of like the day by day stuff of the kids, right?
Sure.
It's, what do we have tomorrow? What did we discipline the right way? We're not talking big philosophical stuff of like, hey, I haven't had anyone to dump all my hard stuff on in 3 months. And because a lot of it is too, she works and she's got her own stuff to deal with. And,
Absolutely.
Sometimes you just got to keep it moving. So you don't realize how important like your mentors and your perspective setters are until they're gone.
That's incredible that you had all those, revelations and you figured this out. And now you're back. I'm glad you're back into a better space now and some perspective, and that you told all of that, which was so well said, with your wrestling bracelet on too. It was perfect. Yep.
It's like magic power.
Absolutely
remind
perfect.
Everybody that I am the champion.
I like those, man. Those are sick. Yeah. So
I mean, it's funny because like I know you and I have talked before too about like how there are some days if you're just not in the right headspace, it's hard to get motivated for things that you want to be enjoyable and special, right?
Absolutely.
And like until you find yourself in a spot that you've kind of spiraled a little bit, that's kind of hard to visualize until you get somewhere where several things have gone wrong and then you overanalyze it and you think to yourself, I'm like, I'm just not like, it just doesn't feel right today. And
Sure.
that was me with a lot of things. So like even when taking my kids to go do fun stuff, my mind wasn't always present
Yeah.
there and enjoying it the way that I should have. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because my mind was like either if I even in the summer when I would go pick them up and I would talk to them and I would say, hey bud, how was camp? My mind was not focused on listening to what they said. It immediately tuned out. Like that was just a robotic, hey,
Yeah.
how was it?
You're supposed
And
to
my
ask.
mind immediately tuned into how long until I'm home? How long until my next
Sale
call?
Yep.
What happens if somebody calls me right now and I'm in the car? Like, and then which in our company culture, everyone is allowed to go run some errands, right? And we've got work-life balance that's important and all that. Like no one would call me and being like, what are you doing picking your kid up
How
from
dare
camp
you?
in the
Yeah.
Yes, but I felt like that. I was like, I had to rush home to get him. And as soon as we got home, it was like, you guys need to go be quiet for a couple of hours and do your work and do not bother me. And
Yeah.
like, that's never, that's not me, right?
No,
Like
not at all.
so even some of the fun stuff was fun in motion, but it wasn't, like fun in my mind and in my heart like it should have been.
Well, I'm glad you're coming out of the fog, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. So I've gotten I mean, again, it sounds silly when I say how kind of tough it was mentally to get through the
Not at
summer.
all.
And then I drop this on you that like I was able to take my daughter to a WNBA game and sit like on the court, which was
That looked
amazing.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I got to take Vaughn to a Cowboys and Packers game in a suite.
Yeah.
And then I just took my son, Crew, to a WWE event. So it's like, I'm not asking anybody to feel sorry for me, right? Like we're still very, very blessed.
Yeah.
It's just you get so used to having so you feel in control, right? You
Yeah.
can feel in control for the longest time, and then it's like something shakes you up, and then all of a sudden you're not in control
It's
anymore.
like you didn't even realize that he was kind of your rock, and you kind of just were destabilized when he was gone.
Yep.
And
Yep.
taking a
Yeah.
little bit
And
to
it's
restabilize.
for sure. Yeah.
I'm-
Yeah. So how about you?
Yeah, man. It's well, I mean, obviously we text back and forth, but for those of you out there that don't know, I don't talk a whole lot about myself on the podcast. I try to keep it on the guest, but let's see. Podcast has been exploding. There's been some big changes there. Some upgrades all around. I'm going to be appearing on the Sam Madonia radio show this Saturday.
I love his voice.
Isn't he just like a classic Springfield
Yeah.
voice that we grew up hearing? Yeah. So
Yeah.
for those who don't know, my firefighting career came to an end last December, but there was still some legal stuff that had to go, a workers' comp case, all this stuff. Finally was done, eventually last week, and I made a pretty heartfelt, long Facebook post about my journey with firefighting and everything I've been through, and just kind of wanted to get it off my chest. I know there's people out there that wonder what was going on with me and new little pieces, and I thought I just kind of wanted to get it out there in a cathartic way, and it's taken some people it's taken on some steam, and people have seen it, and Sam Madonia saw it, and he wants to have me on and talk about it. So
Yeah.
a little nervous. I don't know what direction he's going to go with some of that, but I'm going to be doing that this Saturday. So tune in at, I think, 9:00 to 1450 with Sam Madonia. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, but also, right, like it's understandably scary, right? Because like
Sure.
right all at once, you have to like kind of face it, right? When you've had months and months of ups and downs and thinking about like, so
Oh, yeah.
how do you even articulate? And again, like you said, you don't know what he's going to get into,
Sure.
what he's going to bring up, and all that. But even some of the stuff that you shared to me when you were kind of in the thick of it, like I didn't know some of the depths of that. And like, man, even when reading that, I just kind of wanted to reach through there. Like that, I love being able to connect with this, but like, that's another thing of not being around, like not trying to be weird, but like, I just wanted to reach through and like, squeeze you, hug you or something,
Yeah. It was very touching how many people reached out, how many people said something to me, and I felt very supported in putting that out there. Obviously, it's a pretty vulnerable post to put everything that I went through with all my firefighting. It was an absolute insane ride, and there's still tough moments, but I am absolutely out of the fog and doing a whole lot better. So, but I'm open to talk about it with San Madonia, and if I can help others with my struggles and what I've been through, I'm happy to do it. So, if nothing else, it's an interesting story. So, but
oh my goodness, yeah.
yeah.
Well, like when you like, obviously the pod has exploded, right? And so like,
Yeah.
bring me back to when we did Dusty's part 3,
Yeah.
which I think was in May.
Yeah.
So like, what in your life? I mean, it doesn't have to be all pod related, but like if I think back, last time I spoke to you, like, in a setting like this on camera, was that night that we did Dusty's that we till like almost midnight, right?
Yeah,
we all felt really like, hey, this is fun. So, but like, for me, it feels like things really, whether that was the moment or not, for me, it felt like things really exploded after that.
Yeah.
And I think College World Series had a lot to do with it.
Very much so. Yeah. Well, I want to circle back to you at some point, because I would love to hear your thoughts on when you were co-hosting. That was your first experience doing that with Dusty, and that was an incredible experience. But yeah, the podcast has exploded. Sorry, what was the question again? Or what was
I was saying, like, just take me through the summer, cause like from that moment on, like back up to that May 1st, and kind of what give me the chronological high spots.
Yes. So I would say after Dusty, and I even talked about during Dusty that I was going to sink more into being local stories. And I don't know, obviously it's changed course since then, but so I went to, I just felt like I was frustrated with the growth of this. Like, it was kind of stagnant. Like, I was putting out what I felt like was awesome content and awesome stories, and I was putting all this effort into it and all this heart, but I wasn't reaching anyone. And I was frustrating me, and I'm not really a social media guy. I'm not super savvy there. So I reached out to Outbox Media, specifically Andrew Bartlett here in town. So shout out to Outbox. They gave me some incredible advice, set up a meeting there. So what they do is digital marketing and all this stuff. And a lot of times you will hire them to help you through it, and they'll do all your social media. So I went in, I talked with Andrew Bartlett, and he basically said that they don't have a need, that what services they offer wouldn't be something that I would need at this stage in my podcast. And but he gave me some incredible advice that, it's been invaluable. And he said basically, I need to start making reels and content. And all I was doing before was essentially just putting out the podcast, and that was about it. So I had to figure out how to make reels, and those have gotten better and better and better. And now I feel like they're on par with anything professional you see out there. So the reels have been huge in growth. Like, I've got a Justin Knadler reel that's got, I think, 350,000 views. And so that's
wild.
That's been crazy. And the amount of people that you can reach with reels and tag other entities and get growth from there has been interesting. What was the other? He talked about, I need to be more conscious about who I choose. And do they have a social media presence? Are they willing to help me put this out? Do they, anything like that? So I need to be a little more conscious. While I still want to indulge with some Central Illinois stories, and I'm going to always be rooted there, I needed to be a little more conscious about who I picked, and can they help me move forward? Can I still have my heart in it and be interested in it? And is it a good story? Do they have a social media presence? Will they be willing to help me? So those things my followers went from 300 to well over 1,000. I'm getting probably 400 to 500,000 reel views a month now. New sponsors, new opportunities, new doors opening up. Some of the weird parts about that have been, I don't really enjoy creating content that much, to be honest with you. Like,
I was just going to say, what a shift of gears from, you started this as a passion project, right?
Yeah.
And you were picking guests that were interesting to you. They did. It sounds like they kind of challenged you to, you got to do the business side of it, right?
Right. And I understand there is the business side too, but I need to keep my heart in it to keep interested. And, that's one of I think the hugest parts of this. Why people feel this is they can feel my enthusiasm and my heart through the podcast and how interested I am in wanting to help these guys tell their stories. And I love hearing these baseball stories. So that's been interesting too. Trying to manage that. And so it takes a lot to create these reels and go in and edit. And I'm self-taught, I don't come from any kind of a tech background in any way. So self-taught, I have taken my lumps figuring this out, figuring out the reels. So I'm up at 4 a.m. every day. I treat it like a job. I'm getting in this work before my kids get up. And then I, take my kids, get them ready, take them to school. Then I'm working the rest of the day, making calls, setting up calls, making outlines, structures, questions. It's turned into a full-time job. And when I started treating it like a job, things grew a lot more as well. So,
Yeah. So when did the jump in all the tech pieces happen? Was that
yeah,
with this
perfect.
too?
No, that was so. We were in talks with Outbox about me actually doing my live ones, like face to face, in their studio. And bless him, bless Andrew, in disguise, their price range was just a little bit out of what I wanted to spend. And so it
Yep.
forced me to grow. It forced me to figure out all the tech. So I went out and redid all my microphones, all my system, figured out the phones, figured out how to sync audio and visual. I mean, it was it was hilarious. I mean, I would be sitting here practicing on days before leading up to Cam Appenzeller, because all of that stemmed because I knew I had Cam Appenzeller and it was going to be huge, and I had to get it right, and I had to get video for
Yes.
that. So I mean, I
Yep.
was doing test runs with myself, like sitting in front of
Yeah.
a mic and getting it wrong and messing it up so I could get it right. So that helped me grow. So I had to grow there. I had to figure that out. So I've spent quite a bit of money. I mean, honestly, all in changes from when I went to Outbox to when I sat down and did Cam Appenzeller, probably spent around $2,000 in equipment and upgrading. There's actually different apps that I'm using now to edit too. So I've gotten down into the weeds of all that kind of stuff. So that's been interesting. Not my favorite part. I hope one day I can grow enough to where I can pass that off and I don't have to do the editing and someone can make the reels for me. But for right now, I'm a one-man band. So
Yeah. Gosh, all like everything that you just described there feels like a like high school or college course for people that want to get into this. Like you could wrap it up and teach it over like night. You know
I
what I
feel
mean?
like I
Like a
could
couple
now, man.
weeks.
I've taken my lumps and learned a ton about podcasting the past couple years.
Yeah. Okay. So did that lead? So I never mind. Don't, I got all these questions, but I want to cut in, but I want you to tell you like
Sure.
just chronologically. Then like keep going.
With what? I just feel like I'm rambling now. So if there's anything you want me to specify on or sit
Oh,
on,
sounds normal to me because I love rambling.
yeah.
So yeah. So lead up. So did you do Cam before College World Series?
Yes, I did do Cam before College World
Okay.
Series. We can pivot to College World
And
Series, or we can do Cam.
And
Or,
so was Cam your? Well, I think that one is a good benchmark though because
yeah.
like, was that he your first like in studio guest?
Yes. Well, I had a few in person. I did Greg Taylor in person, Ben Hartle in person. I mean, like Jason, like all those guys were in person. Jason, Justin, but there was no video.
Oh, that's
It was only audio.
yeah.
So,
No, got it.
yep,
Okay,
yep. So,
so that does feel like and maybe it was like honestly, that was probably right around the time from the outside looking in that your social media was ramping
yep.
up, and it's just wild to me that you had the coach of the Tennessee
Tony
Volunteers
Vitello.
on,
Yeah.
and it felt like a normal thing too. Like if I rewind myself 12 months before that, I would be
What
like,
the hell?
bro, that's wild.
Yeah.
Are you nervous? You got the coach of a D1 team on. But now, like
Yeah.
when it happened, I was just like, yeah, hell yeah. Like of course he got him.
Yeah. No, the amount of doors that have opened up for me in the past 6 months with stories that I've done has been incredible. Like, yeah, Tony Vitello, probably the most known college coach there is out there, University of Tennessee. He's a celebrity in every sense of the word, and got hooked up with him through the Cam story. So a blessing for him to come on that gives me credibility. And that opens up more, all I have to do is drop that name now. I mean, I've got a handful of names that I've
Right.
talked to. So that opened doors for me now. So when I, reach out to someone, I say, hey, I've talked with everyone from Tony La Russa to Tarek Skubal. And that's kind of my tagline. I feel like that covers a lot, right? Tony La Russa to Tarek Skubal, the 24 Cy Young Award winner. So people, that gets my foot in the door. So, and I got this story coming up, Jonathan Hazinga with Tarek Skubal's on it, Edwin Jackson's on it, Joey Gathride's on it, Matt Liberator's on it. It's just all these incredible guys that these guests
Yeah.
are. So the guests are trusting me more and more and opening up doors and just giving me contacts. Whereas I used to have to go hunt for those sometimes,
So did that? So if if the growth from like 300 to 1,000 kind of pushed you in some areas that you didn't enjoy, does getting through with all these guys, does that kind of give you the feeling of like, hey, this is worth something
Yes,
now? Like I
100%.
like maybe not I've made it, but like is that the justification when you get these guys on the
A
phone?
million percent. I had to grind to get a lot of these guys, and now it's just it's just the work that you have to do. It's the groundwork. It's the unpleasant stuff to get to do the stuff that you want to do, and where I love it, and where I feel free, and when I feel fulfilled is when I sit down and hit record. And when we start
Yeah.
going, and I'm in that moment, and we're connecting, and I can tell it's meaningful to them. Like it's all worth it in that moment, and then just that I mean, 2.5, 3 years ago, like this was just an idea that we thought was like
Yeah.
funny and like would be fun to do. And I'm proud of myself and that I've gotten this far, that we've gotten this far, and that I think it's a testament to my perseverance and pushing through, and I am a relentless guy, and it bodes well
Yeah.
to what I'm doing to be relentless.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Because like if the if those are in place of like the grind time, if your grind time stuff isn't enjoyable, it can take the wind out of your
Sure.
sails. But like when the work behind it is enjoyable, and
Yeah.
I think that's the same with sports too,
Well
right?
said.
Like guys that love to practice, love to put in the
They
work,
got a
it
chance.
usually shows up on game day. But like
100%.
yeah, when we're watching the pod or listening or whatever, like yeah, we get a 2 or 3 hour snapshot of the game, right? But like
Yeah.
how like you've got hours and hours of prep
So
time and
much.
interviews
So
and
much.
conversation.
Yep.
And if that part doesn't feel good, I could see how a lot of people just do this as a hobby and then move off from it.
Yeah, totally. I can see why most podcasts don't last. I think it's like 3 episodes is the average podcast. They bang it after three
Yeah.
episodes. But I feel like this is my calling and what I'm supposed to be doing, and definitely have felt reinvigorated as of recently, with just the amount of stuff that's happening and the amount of guests that, especially a story that I'm working on now that's really near and dear to my heart. We can get to that in a little bit, but that has been really special to me. I would love to circle back real quick and ask you, was that cool for you jumping on as a co-host for the Dusty episode? I thought you being there was so awesome. I think it relaxed him and made him feel comfortable, and we got a really great side of Dusty.
Yes, I mean that fulfilled a lot of things for me, but I think it's only unique to that situation, right? Because like I don't know a lot, like I wasn't heavily involved with a lot of the other guests, or I don't know them intimately. But I
Right.
mean that was a that it checked a lot of boxes for me. Not just it's fun to get on here and talk and chat and things like that, but like I don't. It goes back to not living around my buddies, right? Like
Yeah.
I I don't ever talk to any of my friends for 3 hours straight about all the great memories that we had. Right? I
Yeah.
don't do anything that like so much of our lives are transactional now. Like even with your closest ones, it's like uh, very rarely in a time of social media and instant gratification and all this do you ever just stop and talk for a couple of
Oh
hours.
yeah.
And so that yeah, that was it was fun for me, but I think it was unique to that situation where I could offer things, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, not that I couldn't chime in and ask maybe a different question or a different perspective or whatever, but I did feel like that was that's kind of what birthed out of left, right? Was that he went through his
Yeah.
podcast and I was like,
You had so
hey,
much to
wait a minute,
add.
he's leaving
Yeah.
stuff that people need to know.
That was what it was. Yeah. And if you guys don't remember, the original Out of Lefts was just Joey sending me voice messages or voice memos, and then I would just put them
Yeah,
together. No prompting. Just,
yeah, talk about how the technology has grown. I
oh my
remember I
gosh.
used to say I used to drive up. So my oldest son practices basketball with his club team at a church.
Hmm.
And so it's a gym at a church or whatever. And so I remember I used to drive him to practice and I would sit there in the parking lot and I would do voice notes for like 3 or 4 minutes on my phone. Then 3 or 4 minutes became, 8 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever. But yeah, literally I was just recording it on my phone in my car
Oh man.
and hitting send to you.
Yep. Things have changed. I much prefer us going back and forth and having a dialogue. I just enjoy that, just talking with you and catching up. And what's funny is I know you live in Dallas, but usually like people that live, not here. I don't know how to explain this, but it feels like you're here and you're not though. Does that make sense? Like it still feels like you're a part of the community, even though you are not physically here. I think that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, this is kind of reflective for me and my kids right now, and I'm on the one hand, I know that they have a much different upbringing than I do. They, like I mentioned, I'm able to take them to NBA games, NFL games, just amazing stuff, right? But then, like, also,
Mhm.
uh, my son in his middle school football, they have scored one touchdown in like 6 games or something, and they lost one of them 40-0, and it's just like you're like
Rough.
I remember how, and I because I tell him how special like the small town middle school and high school sports were, right? But
Yes.
like they kind of bounce from, he goes right from basketball to football to, to flag or to whatever. And they're getting lots of experiences, but they're not, every team is a different group of
Yeah.
people. And so I think because I was so fortunate and had such I don't know, a nice rooted community of from, middle school all the way through and at Lincoln Land and things like that. Like it was, I look back on that as some of the most special times in my life.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's going to be that way with my kids.
Oh,
Like, cause
well said.
I don't think it's as important to them
Yeah.
because there's, literally once we get out of a season, it's 1 weekend or 2 weekends at max,
Yeah.
and we're right into the next thing. And it's a new group of kids and it's a new coach. It's not like just our neighborhood
Right.
is playing together and practicing together all the time,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know that while yes, being in a big metropolitan area, they're exposed to other amazing things
Sure.
that I didn't, have when I was young. But on the other hand, I don't think they get that community feel,
Beautiful.
that
Yeah.
community experience that we have.
Beautifully put. That reminds me, the other day, and you commented on this, but I took my daughter to a hitting lesson in Pawnee with Cale Henneman, who I think is the best hitting coach around, former guest. And you were laughing that times have changed, that a 6-year-old is getting a hitting lesson. But anyway, what the point of this is, I drove through Pawnee, and it had to have been around homecoming because the whole town was just exploding with Pawnee Indian signs and little funny things, and you could just tell that they had so much spirit, for their little sports community, and you don't get that even in Springfield, or and that must have been what it was like in Plains. And there part of me has this pull, like I want to take my kids and give them that experience of a small town, this close knit, everyone rooting for each other. I mean, that must have been so cool what you guys went through. I didn't get to experience anything like that.
Yeah. And I think that's what it still feels like. Here we are, 20. I mean, my goodness, I just this past August was 21 years since I left. So I think I left in August of '04.
Yeah.
And so I just passed 21 years of not living there. So that's what it was. I've now lived more of my life outside of Illinois than I have in it,
Wow.
right? So 20 there and 21 outside. I spent some time in Florida
Yeah.
and Texas and all that. But it is still kind of earmarked as, very, very special and home and things like that. And it's all the
Yeah.
same group of people and all that. So it's not like it's hard to compare, right?
Yeah.
Because the suburb that I'm in now, I think we have 60,000 people, but like land-wise, it's tiny. But in our school district, we're not Dallas, we're not Fort Worth, we're not whatever. Like we're a suburb school district, and we have 7 high schools that are all 6A. There's just
So
there's
many.
no way to have an idea.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's so funny because like my kids will ask me, they're like, "Were you popular in school?" And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so because I played sports."
Yeah.
And they're like, but I think to them, like my seventh grade son has like 900 kids in his school,
Yeah.
and it's 6th, 7th, 8th.
Wow.
And I'm like, I did like even when I was a freshman in high school, we had maybe 350 of all of our whole high school.
Yeah.
So like just the perception difference of I think it's much easier for them to get lost in the shuffle because there's so many kids.
Absolutely.
And when I tell them about our experience, it's so different because from year to year, if I didn't know everyone's name or recognize at least everyone's face, minus a couple, that was the norm. And now I'll see people out, and he's not even one of the big ones, right? So I think there's 12 middle schools in our district. And so there's 4 big, 4 medium, 4 small. And I think he's in one of the medium ones, right? So there's schools that have 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 kids for just middle schools. And I think he loses the perspective because like we'll see people out somewhere and they'll have like an Austin Eagles shirt, which is where he's
Yeah.
at, and I'll be like, "Who is that?" And he'll be like, "I don't
No
know."
clue.
I'm like, "How do you not know someone from your school?"
Right.
But there's
So many
900
people.
kids
Yeah.
there, so it makes a little more sense.
Totally. Speaking of hometown roots, something that I wanted to say earlier that I missed and that I've spoken with you about privately is staying rooted. Staying rooted in Central Illinois still. As my stories grow nationally and they have nothing to do with Central Illinois, I think I'm going to always stay based here and still always be working on a Central Illinois story for a couple of reasons. One, my sponsors right now are still primarily here in Central Illinois, and I feel like I owe that to them. Two, those fill my cup up, and
Yeah.
it means something to me. Like when I go on my Instagram, I know this is like a weird thing to talk about, but if I get 1,000 likes a day or whatever, the ones that are meaningful to me or comments are the people that I know, that I look in the eye and that I have a relationship with. And when they tell me this is awesome, or I really enjoy that, that means something to me. So that is something that I totally feel firm on, that I'm going to always keep doing these stories, even as my other stuff grows. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I think that's part of our generation too, because the younger generations have kind of gotten caught up in these parasocial relationships where they do get gratification from just a high number.
Yeah, it doesn't feel
And
like
I think
anything to me.
our generation, yeah, our generation is still rooted in real people,
Personal
right?
connection,
And I feel the same way. We've shared this too, and it's like you can have 100 people tell you good job,
Yeah.
but it's that you've always got those 2 to 3 people in your mind that you're like, these are the 2 to 3 that I'm trying to impress, right? So like if they don't recognize it or they don't see it, it's like the all the others that say good job don't mean as much.
Yep.
So I think that's I mean, it makes perfect sense for all the reasons that you listed, but I also think that's a generational thing, that if you asked somebody that was doing this type of podcast and they were 22, 23, fresh out of college, I think they would be all about the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like the clout. It wouldn't, the more the better. The more popular I am in numbers, the better it is.
That, you saying that, I totally agree, reminds me of someone's approval that I always desperately wanted. Ron Riggle. I always wanted his praise so bad. Like when we would be doing outfield drills, I'm bringing this home funny, but he'd always give you an attaboy if you went after and got one, or a good throw. Attaboy.
Yeah.
Remember those? And
Yeah, for sure.
I remember, if I didn't get one, if I thought I deserved one, I'd be over there like MFing him under my breath, like, damn it, Bull, where's my fuck? And like towards the end, like when I was feeling real comfortable with him, when my third year there, I think one time I did something cool and he didn't get it, and I turned and I said, "Where's my damn attaboy?" or something like that. We started laughing. Good times, good old logger times. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it is funny that way though, right? Like there are certain people that and it's not always the one who's like the highest ranking or most in charge, right? Sometimes it's just, who do you have a backstory with? Who do you really respect?
Sure.
Who kind of, kind of gets that for you. And I kind of relate it to the relationship that maybe you had with Canadlers and O'Malley's and stuff like that. Like when they kind of took you under their wing, I'm sure immediately those were type of guys where you're like, well, I can't let them down. Like these, like their opinion matters.
1,000,000%. Absolutely. That would have been the worst thing in the world to let them down, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about some College World Series?
Yes, for sure.
Cool.
I've always for a number of different things. Like tell me, or maybe, you use your discretion, right? Like if we need to have an offline conversation, I want to hear everything, because like in my line of work, I've gotten to do almost every sporting event there is, right? And have really good access to it. But College World Series is one that I've never done. And people that I know that have been there said it's absolutely worth the trip. And so like, give me, obviously I know that Murray plays a huge role in this, but like, back me up to how you decided to go, what it was like being there, the sights and the sounds and the smells and everything.
Sure. So I obviously am a Murray State alum, played for the Racers, have some love for my school, but they've never made a whole lot of noise in college baseball. But I mean, in the last couple of years, their program has been building, and always follow them kind of loosely. How are they doing in the MVC? Looks like they're gonna make a run at the MVC tournament, and then people started texting. We all started texting former players, and we're like, hey, you see what Murray's doing? Like, they're going to win the MVC tournament. So then you start paying attention more, and you're like, okay, that's incredible. Like they just joined the MVC a couple years ago, and then they go to the Super Regional, and you're like, oh, you're on TV now. This is really cool. So you start watching it on TV, and I
Yeah.
believe they beat Ole Miss. That was at Ole Miss, so they. Going through that and Georgia Tech and Ole Miss and watching these games, like, oh my God, Murray State is going to beat these guys. So they eventually got it, got the win. So now they're going to the Super Regional at Duke. So unreal, right? That little Murray State is in the Super Regional against Duke. They're knocking on the door of the College World Series. Watch every game, cry when they clinch. And
Oh yeah.
and my parents are like, you gotta go, and I'm like, I can't swing this. I got young kids. I'm kind of the parent that moves them around and takes them to school and all the practices and all this stuff. I can't. It's gonna be expensive, and we're just coming up with all these reasons to not go, right? And my good buddy Mark Harmon,
Yeah.
a pitcher at Murray State while I was there, who has always kept it real with me, love him, basically got me on the phone and he was like, if you don't get your F and A there, I was like, we're gonna have a problem. He said, if you wore a Murray State Racer thoroughbred uniform at some point, you have no excuse to not be there. Get your F and A there. And I was like, you know what? He's
Yeah.
right. So,
Yeah.
did the hotels, all the things, got the tickets, drove the 8 hours there, made videos the whole way there because I was just feeling kind of inspired.
Yeah.
So I was kind of making all these like videos, like talking about Murray State stuff, like funny little Murray State stories, because in the media they were talking about, all the funny parts of Murray, that they didn't have lights and that the coach mowed the field and they were poor and all these funny things. So I had some funny stories too. Some of that was true, So I had some stories that I
Yeah.
wanted to put out there, but got there, just an incredible environment. I think one of the Murray State players, Dustin Mercer, called it baseball heaven, and I sign off on that so thoroughly. It was just, there's an energy and excitement, crazy, vendors there. Every baseball vendor you can think of, incredible, was represented there. Walking around there, if you were a dad and had a son there, dangerous place to be because so much to buy, so much cool stuff,
Yeah.
like all the drip, all that, but just an
Yep.
incredible environment. And then everyone is rooting for Murray State too, because they're the Cinderella story there, right? They're the school that wasn't supposed to make it. So they're just going nuts for Murray State. I remember seeing Murray State gear in one of the merchandise tents and getting teared up again. Just like, I can't believe
Yeah.
this school, that I went to made it. I would have never believed that they could have done anything like that when I was there. We were so middle of the road. But got to see all my brothers there, my former coach, taking pictures, rooting them on. It didn't matter that they didn't advance or, whatever. They got there. Incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
What day? So what day do you get there? What day does it start? I don't know the format.
I want to say I was there. I only went to one game, so I essentially had to get back for some stuff. So I was in and out. So
Yeah.
I was there for like 24 hours essentially. But I want to say it was a Friday.
Oh.
No, Friday game, Saturday game. They were guaranteed 2 games, and they ended up losing their second game, and that's all she wrote.
Got it. So double. It's double elimination format.
Yep. And they just barely got beat by UCLA, and then Arkansas, Gage Wood was throwing 98 with Rise. So
Yeah.
they got no hit there, and that was the end of it. But from that, my alma mater is national attention. So I'm like, hey, let's get some of these guys on the podcast now. So
Yeah.
got Jonathan Hogard on, who was their sensational home run hitting guy. He ended up playing for the Phillies organization, got picked up. Will Veerling, their catcher, also got picked up by the Phillies. I had Coach Skirka on, and I'm going to have him again on later this fall for a more thorough one. And then I just had on Carson Garner. So they're kind of 3 guys, and so that was really cool that,
Yeah.
it merged the national spotlight, but also something that I'm really interested in and close to my heart. So that was fun to give them a spotlight and talk some Murray State.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Like that. I think that kind of changed the trajectory of your guests, right? Like if they don't make that and you don't go,
Yeah.
the summer looks really different for you.
Yes.
Or the pod.
Yeah. And let me tell you this. The World Series changed the trajectory of the podcast also in the type of guests that I'm going to have on. And it made me realize that there is so much meat on the bone with college guys and then following their story. So another thing that I'm doing now is I'm following these guys. We have already given them the invitation of like, hey, every year come on now after this. for your pro career.
Yeah.
And there's also interesting parts to just having a college guy on and hearing what they feel like is going on in their lives, what their career is going on. Whereas when we started this, I was kind of against that. I only wanted to talk to guys that
Mhm.
had been done for, 10, 20 years. But I'm realizing there's not that many guys that I personally know like that are from around here, and that there's so many more cool stories out there in baseball, whether it's a high school guy, whether it's a college guy, whether it's a guy in the minor leagues or a guy that's been done for 10 years. There's all kind of interesting baseball stories out there. So opening that up has exploded things for me too in terms of who I can talk to and whatnot, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. And so, all right, I don't know if we want to jump in or out of this, but like, did did you start your t-ball coaching journey over the summer,
Yes.
or is that just in the
No,
fall?
yeah, perfect. So I was
So,
funny. So my daughter started t-ball last spring, and I was hesitant to be the head coach. I kind of wanted to see what it was like. So I was the assistant coach for
yep,
the first session, kind of hung
yep.
back and watched, saw some things that I would have done differently. And then so I felt very confident to take over my own t-ball team this fall. So I had a fall t-ball team. It was so much fun, Joe.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. And I put out a post on Facebook like, hey, I'm putting a fall t-ball team together. So anyone that I know, if you have a little one, please join. So all these people that I know that I'm connected to joined the team. So we had this awesome group of parents too, great group of little like second gen athletes out there, and just really fun. Seeing my daughter enjoy the game that I love so much, and she has talent for it, and it's just fun seeing these people, these little guys at their beginnings. I love looking back at some of my old like sports. Like when you get like a team composite from t-ball. You know, and it's fun
Yeah.
to look back and be like,
Yep.
oh, that guy played pro ball, or that guy played college soccer, or that guy's dead, or that guy is a comedian, or this guy went to
Some
Stanford,
yeah.
or like there's just like I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, who is going to be what of this? I mean, this person that is kicking dirt right now could be a professional soccer player someday. Like, who knows? It's all fascinating to
Yeah.
me. I so enjoyed it.
So do you maybe you didn't get this feeling, but like do you remember like a moment or some moments when your own child is out there and they absolutely do something amazing,
Mhm.
whether it's crush one or make a good play in the field, like do you get that intoxicating
Yes.
feeling like, oh
Oh my
my
God.
gosh, here we go?
Yes.
Like this now has to become my identity to pour into this kid.
Dude, I have to pump the brakes with so my daughter Thea, she's a super athlete. There's no denying it. She's incredibly gifted. Just how she moves, she's so agile, great hand-eye coordination. She can swing the shit out of a baseball bat, and I've posted some videos of
I
it.
know.
She swings so hard, she rotates so hard, and my heart bursts when she crushes one, and everyone kind of gasps, and they're like, "Oh my lord, look at
Yeah.
that little girl rip,"
Yeah.
And it's like, that's
Yeah.
my little girl. And of course, a part of me, and I'm kind of a extremist, and I can be, intense. Is I'm like, okay, we're going to the Olympics. This is Team USA,
Yeah. Yeah.
Division One. Like, how do I start nurturing this? But then I got to pull it back. It's like she's 6 years old, and while she has an incredible amount of talent, I need to pull it back and let her show me she wants it. But so intoxicating when she crushes the ball or does something awesome. So much pride. I totally get it how parents get lost in their child's athletic careers.
Yep.
I'm trying to keep perspective because I've seen, when a parent wants it more than the kid, but I totally get it. And she's
Yeah.
talented. So look
Yeah.
out.
So so you she's not old enough that you've not had your reset moment, but it sounds like you're ready for it. Like as I remember, my oldest was pretty decent at basketball, maybe give or take. But man, he could catch a football. Like
Oh, he's
I
talented.
remember
Yeah.
at 6 years old throwing a ball the length of my backyard and he would catch it, and just remembering like that doesn't look normal. Like he's really good at
Yeah.
catching. And then we played some 7-on-7 games or flag or whatever, and he scored a couple of touchdowns. And I just remember thinking, I'm pretty sure I played t-ball until I was like 9,
Seriously, I feel like
and
we
I
did.
didn't join a
Yeah.
like boys. Yeah, I was like I think I joined boys and girls club in like maybe 5th grade, and he's like at this age doing that. So like I definitely got
Yeah.
into it, and I'm like every opportunity we've got to be in
Yeah.
it, right? And so I did the same thing as you did. The very first like basketball team that he was on, I let someone else do it, right? It's like I was like, this isn't going to be mine from the beginning. I want to be a dad. I want to
Right.
watch. And then after that first season, it's like, all right, that's not how I would have done
Yep.
it. So it's
Exactly.
time, right? And so I'll never forget my reset moment. I mean, I'm talking. He's got to be 7 years old. He couldn't. Maybe he was 8, but probably
Yeah.
7. So we're in. The baskets are down at 8 foot or whatever it was, and if you win a game 6-4, that's a good game, right? And so I'll never forget. We get into, if it wasn't the championship game, it was a game against the other undefeated team, right? And we knew who some of the kids were, and it was intense and all that. And I'll never forget. I was coaching, and maybe a quarter into the game, it gets a little physical, and Vaughn gets hit with an elbow in the mouth, and it pops him, and it starts bleeding just a little bit. So of course he has to come out, and I'm like, I just try to pump him up or whatever, and I'm like, as soon as you're ready to go, like, I need you back in there, and he goes, no. I go, what do you mean no? He's like, I don't want to go back in, and I'm like, you're not doing this to me, like I need you out there. Like you are, and I lost it. I did not speak to my 7-year-old kid for more than 24 hours because he wouldn't go back into the bat. And we got smoked too.
Yeah.
Like he was our primary ball handler. He was one of the ones that could shoot it up there and get it in the rim. And I was mad. Like I told him to his face how disappointed I was in him that he quit on me. And I'm like, I don't care if you miss shots. I don't care if we lose, whatever. But like, you quit on me out there, and I'm very disappointed. Yeah. But once I settled down from that, I realized, I'm like, okay, that was the expectation reset that I needed. Yeah. That these are just kids. Sure. Like we are not on the fast track for anything special. Yeah. So I get it. Like when they when they show a little bit of success early, it's hard to not dream a little bit, right? And then like as the dad, you're like, okay, I know my role now. Like, like what equipment do you need? What training do you need? Like, what I'm going to be here. Like, we're getting all the right spots, and then they will. I don't want to say break your heart, but there will come a moment when you find yourself wanting it more than they do, and you've just got to reset yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying my best to pull back. Obviously, she has to want it. You can't make your kid want it, but
yeah.
From what I think I know about athletes and movements, if this kid wants it, if she lets me, I could turn her into a baseball samurai, a Jedi, but she has to want it, And you know what's a gift, though, is my son, Bodie, 3.5, shows zero interest in swinging a bat, does not want to do it in any way. And actually, I think it's kind of a blessing that I'm not going to, maybe he will eventually, but that I'm not putting any of my little weird things on him, like, you're going to be the next one in line, buddy, or, something like that. So,
yeah. Hey. Okay, but like, so I'm of the same position you are. Like, you can't want it more than them. But like, I don't think Tiger Woods' dad took that approach.
Right.
I think Tiger Woods' dad was like, you've got this talent. We're going, even if it means we have a strained relationship, I'm going to make you the greatest.
Plenty
ever.
of champions
like,
have been
I think
forced
that's
out of that, out of intense pressure from their father. Absolutely. But a lot of times it can go very sideways though, right? Yeah, for sure.
For sure. No, I'm great.
And I also want to commend you, or commend your son, because you've showed me videos and of his football. I love how his knees, feet, and legs interact with the ground. It's high level stuff. So you do have a good athlete there. It'll be interesting to see how he progresses through the years. But he's not even a baseball guy, right?
Yeah. No, so in our town, like baseball is good through coach pitch, and then immediately after coach pitch, you've got
you're right in the travel scene.
You got to go super competitive. Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh, there's so many club teams around here that once you hit about 10 years old, you make the decision that you're all in with it or not. There's not a ton of because even my next one, even my 10-year-old now, he tried to jump up and do a kid pitch league, and it was like. We were awful because other kids in the league do this 11 months out of the year, right? Like there's kids that just do it all the time. So my my oldest problem is that he's just now realizing that he's not as good as he thinks he is, and they're just small. Like I tell him, like he's the size now in 7th grade that I was in 5th probably, and so that's catching up, right? I tell him, I'm like, listen, they're like, you're gonna get. There are kids that won't be as good as you, as talented as whatever. But I'm like, football is a physical game. Like you're just going to get pushed around by kids that have never, they've never been to a clinic. They don't know how to run the right routes. They don't know how to put their hands anything. And I go, you're just going to get bullied because you're small. And he's just I don't know. Things are too easy in his life. He's not hungry enough. I try to tell him that all the time,
Right.
and it just
You can't make them
he
work,
does not
right?
have that fire.
Like obviously you would like to see your kid like, hey, he's, initiating practice on his own. He's going and doing that stuff, but you can't make them do it, as much as you want them to.
No, oh my gosh, we've tried to motivate these kids every way we
Yeah.
possibly know how. We've tried positive reinforcement. We've tried bribery.
Yeah.
We've tried consequences. We've tried shaming them, ridiculing them, but everything.
Yeah.
Now, and my oldest is really the only one that truly has like that truly has like a talent and a knack for it. So my next one, Crew, he's athletic, but like he's always just been interested enough to play with his friends. Like he's not as he surprises us all the time. But yeah, it's my oldest one that would have the chance if he would just put in. But it is what it is.
How about we move on to obviously I've had a bunch of guests since we last did this, so let's pick a couple that we can chat up a little bit about. But something that you put a note in here about maybe some part threes and what that's been like.
Yeah, tell me
Circling
like
back.
it's got to be a different preparation, right?
Yeah.
And like what was where was the idea to have some of these guys back on for part threes? Like, is that more enjoyable than a new guest, or like it's got to be a different process?
Absolutely. It was birthed. Let me start with the first part. It was birthed out of, I felt like we had hit a couple guests that I didn't hit the numbers that I was kind of expecting. And so I'm looking at my, I can look at, all the listens on my guests, and, Dusty Bensko up until recently has always been number one. He has this huge backing in Central Illinois and Pleasant Plains, and his numbers were just huge. And I was like, well, you know what? Let's go back to the well here. I had always felt, and this, some remorse about how I handled Dusty in terms of it was very early in my podcasting kind of career, and I didn't feel like I was super chopped or smooth yet as a host, and I wasn't using clips yet, and it wasn't it was still good, but not to what it's not the same quality as what it's become. And I thought I always wanted to give him, another shot at it, some more. So he was open to it. And luckily there's no shortage of Dusty Bensko lore out there, or people that want to tell stories about him. He really is a Paul Bunyan type around here. There's just stories upon stories, and the home runs get longer every year. Every year that the stories get told, they get longer. So I just wanted to bring him back, and then I was like, you know what? Let's bring Joey in on this. I thought that'd be fun, and obviously you guys are friends and had this relationship, and I felt like that loosened him up too and made him feel comfortable. And I thought, I loved how Dusty Bensko 3 went. We got a great Dusty. We got some great clips from other people coming in, and just love that. Super fun. But I didn't have to do as much prep, as I would typically do, because we've already been through his story. It was more just kind of revisiting some fun stuff and kind of chatting it up.
And so, help me with the list. Aper came back, yeah?
I had Aper for a part 3. The significance of that was it was the date to when we first did our first episode. It was right like 2 years later.
Yep.
Wanted to bring him had brought PJ back for a part 3 because I wanted to focus on his coaching career. I thought that'd be really interesting to hear from some of his players. PJ is just, I love PJ so much, man. That guy's incredible. What a baseball dude.
Yep.
But I'm in talks with other ones. Like I want to bring Casey back for a part 3. I want to do a Knadler, Justin, and Jason together episode. I think that'd be fun.
Well, how about the O'Malley one where you get Dempster on the line and such?
That was incredible. So, I brought back O'Malley to really only focus on his big league call up. The whole moment we just got deeper into, because when I went back and listened to it, I felt like there was just some meat left on the bone, and also that I had grown to a place now where I felt like I have enough juice to get a hold of some of these guys, and O'Malley felt comfortable enough with my professionalism and what I've grown to that he gave me, Dempster's contact, Rich Hill, Michael Barrett, these guys. Yeah. So we ended up having, these baseball dudes, Michael Barrett, Rich Hill, and Ryan Dempster on. And Dempster was an absolute riot, that guy is a special baseball person. So that was awesome to be able to talk to these guys when when Ryan Dempster popped up on my screen on my computer, it was a cool moment of like I'm headed in the right direction. That I
Yeah.
have Ryan Dempster in front of me, giving me time, and that we had a great back and forth. He's a super funny guy.
Yeah, and I think I've shared this with you before. I don't know what caused it, but I was never a huge Michael Barrett fan before, like when they were in. I don't remember
Hmm.
why. I can't think of anything as to why I didn't love him. But just strictly because of this, I mean, he came back on and shared some additional details too,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm almost embarrassed with myself. I'm like, why would I not like support guys that were on the team, and why would I even think that way or whatever? But in the context of where this started, when you did O'Malley's story the first
Yeah.
time, I only envisioned myself in this podcast as like, well, yeah, he's on because he played at our junior
Right.
college, and then fast forward to like, oh yeah, we have the major league catcher that was behind the plate the day that he came up. You know,
Yeah.
like it just kind of blows my mind a little bit that like, oh yeah, like that's possible
It
now.
is.
That's possible to get the guy who was the 15-year, big leaguer behind the plate in that moment that is the 6 degrees that comes back to all of
Yeah,
us.
but absolutely probably would not have been possible when I first did the O'Malley. I mean, I think O'Malley was my third story. I did not have the
Yeah.
credibility
No,
at the
yeah, no,
time.
no.
But it is surreal that now that's where we're at, and I don't think there are a lot of doors that I can't open or get to, or at least be told no. And I'll tell you this, my detective ability to find numbers has gotten really good. I could be a PI, Joey. I swear I am
Hey,
relentless when it comes to
I
finding
remember.
contacts.
Yeah. Hey, I won't say any names, but I remember when you and I went back and forth about someone you were trying to find, and because of my business, we have some strict privacy laws about parents that
Yes.
might stay in hotels and all
Yep.
that. And I'm like, listen,
I
I
can't do
can't.
it.
My integrity won't allow me to do this, but I found them.
You did.
That was
I
fun.
wish we could share that. I don't think we probably shouldn't, but it is hilarious the lengths that we went to find a player's contact, and then we had a little bit of a moral dilemma in the moment. And you were absolutely right in not crossing that
Yeah.
moral boundary. And I actually did find it. I found the email that I was looking for. It was a player's wife, and I chose not to go there because I just felt like it felt a little icky,
Yeah.
But when I say that,
Yeah. I think that's the
go ahead. Sorry.
Which
Nope.
I was going to say, like, looking back, those are that's absolutely the right way to approach all of this, right? Like, you never you've earned all of it, right? Like, you've not cut any corners, you've
Mm-mm.
not done anything shady. Like, it's
Zero.
truly like you've earned people's trust and gotten the contacts and things.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely the
Yeah.
right way to
I
do
think
it.
my professionalism and my name within baseball has grown, and people will open doors for me now. And I'll say this: I know if I can get you in front of me to talk or to see me on a video, and I give you my little minute or 2 minute spiel about what I'm doing, my mission, my story, it always inspires trust, and I can see them relax and be like, okay, this isn't like just some media guy looking for
Yeah.
weird salacious stuff. Like, he has a heart, and he has a soul, and he's here for good, and he wants to help this person tell their story in the best way. And I feel like I get the best of people when I do that. So it's been so fun going through all this, and would have never guessed. I mean, this is where I wanted it to go, when I started it, but it's so cool that it
Yeah.
happened. Like, this is where I'm at. Like, I envisioned being here, and now I am here, and because I just kept taking the steps every day, to move forward. And here we are. And I've made some mistakes along the way. And now I actually will reach out to wives if I find a wife that I have to go through, but I do it in the most respectful way. And it's not weird at all. And I'm very open about
Right.
what I'm doing. This is for good. I apologize for reaching out to you in this way, but I had no other way to reach your husband. And 99% of the time, they've been super receptive and have passed me on a phone number or a contact. So that's been cool. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And which is like, I don't know. I've never been a journalist. I've never been on that
I
side
guess
of
I
it.
am
But
now.
like, I just have this impression of like, I just have a feeling that every journalist, as soon as they get a number, they would just ambush their way in there and just kind of prop themselves up like, well, oh, I'm with, the such and such newspaper or news
Yeah.
station, and just go off that. Like, not try to build credibility with them
There is
whatsoever.
certainly an art form.
Maybe that's
Yeah, I absolutely consider myself a journalist at this point, and there is an art form into opening up doors and getting people to trust you and to answer you and whatnot. So, something I am interested to talk about is I took a new tactic to reach out to this guest, Mike Seander, Mike, the recording artist. I'd love to talk about that for a second. You got a second here?
Yeah, no,
So,
I was actually going to tee it up. I actually I just pulled up my notes because I was like, is it time for
you
this?
you want to lead me in then?
No, I was just so obviously it'll be best coming from you,
Sure.
but like I know that we've talked about like how sometimes when you get a guy that's like a Cy Young winner or something, you'll be like, hey man, had a really cool experience today. Ended up talking with such and such or
Yeah.
whatever. And then you kind of teed this one up that you're like, hey, I'm working on something a little bit reverse engineered,
Yeah.
and sometimes when we text, it's like you'll text me in the morning and I'll be super busy that day, and it'll be like 8 o'clock at night, and I'll be like, hey man, sorry, crazy day, what's
Yeah.
up? And then you may not get back to me till
Sure.
later, right? So it was like whenever you can tell who the guest is and all that, but essentially showed we mirror back and
Yeah.
forth, right? Like you mirror or I mirror what you're doing now, and I'm like you're more of a salesman than you
Yeah.
realize. Like everything that you just did is almost exactly what I do in sales prospecting and trying to get somebody to
Yeah.
respond. So like, yeah, the guest that you're working on has some celebrity
Yeah.
status, and wouldn't necessarily respond, and you're like, listen, I'm not going to take no for an
Yeah.
answer. So I'm just going to kind of start the story with all the people I'd talk to anyway, and just prove them like, hey, I'm going to get some of the building blocks built here before
Yep.
you give me the okay to put the building all the
Yes,
way
I'm
up.
so excited to talk about this one. I have never approached a story like this before, and the magnitude of this one is going to be different too because of the kind of celebrity status of this guy. So I'll just say it. As a baseball player, his name was Mike Seander. As a musical artist, he was Mike Stud for a while, who was kind of doing some frat rap, and he ended up rebranding about 5 or so years ago to just Mike or Mike with a period. But he's this recording artist. He was an All-American closer at Duke in 2007. Um, his elbow blew up, and he had this interesting story of kept trying to come back, kept trying to come back. His arm never quite got back. Transitioned into this music industry, and he's had this kind of wild ride through music. And I've always been he's probably my favorite musical artist out there. I've been a fan of his since probably 2010, and his first mixtape, A Toast to Tommy, which is a toast to Tommy John, was kind of the soundtrack that I listened to over and over when I was making my baseball comeback. And so that was special to me. And then just always been a fan of his music and his
Yeah.
story. And he's got a podcast where he's very connected to the baseball community, sports community, brings on a lot of guys, Baker Mayfield, guys like that. Um, but anyway, so I just always thought this would be the perfect guy for this. And he was one of the first people I thought of when I started this. An interesting person, baseball story to tell. It's interesting afterwards too. So like the first message I sent to him was like, hey, this was 2023. Was hey, I got this before I even
Yeah.
had an episode out. I said, hey, I have this podcast that I'm starting. I think you'd be the perfect guest. I mean, and there's probably 20 or 30 messages like that throughout the years until just recently of the same, very similar. I think you're supposed to be a guest on my podcast. This is meant to be, whatnot. And he's a very spiritual guy, so I felt comfortable saying some things like that to him. But eventually, I was like, no
Yep.
response ever. But he's got about 750,000 followers, so pretty good size. So I realized messages can get lost or not
Sure.
seen. But
Yeah.
eventually, I don't know why I had this idea in my head, but I sent him a message, kind of a Hail Mary, and I said, hey, I'm going to start working on your story and talking to some of these guys, and I'm going to check back in with you when I have some stuff. And he hearted it. And I was like, oh, here we
Yeah.
go. Like I have his attention to some degree. So now it's like the ball's in my court. How do I capitalize on this? How do I make the most out of this? How do I nurture this and breathe life into it? So I, went back into the Duke roster from when he was playing, and I looked at some of the pitchers that were kind of good. I looked at some of the catchers that would have caught him, and started reaching out on Facebook, and finally got someone to get back to me. Hey, I told him what I was doing, working on a story, and he said, I'd love to be a part of it. And then he started giving me contacts, and I started,
Mm-hmm.
going from there and compiling all these interviews. And then I started when I think I really got his attention was when I put a reel out, you know, and it was one of his former coaches talking about him. And then, so now Mike and I are having a full on conversation. We're going back and forth, the logistics of it. I've talked to both his mom and dad. His dad gave me
That's
his
why.
dad gave me his interview from his old room. Like he gave me a tour of his room, his childhood room, with his phone. I had an hour-long conversation with his
Yeah.
mom yesterday. His mom and I are sending family pictures back and forth. Like I'm fully immersed in this, and he's going to get me. So he's best
Yeah.
friends with Marcus Stroman. Are you familiar with that name? Okay. Yeah, big
Yeah.
time pitcher in the big leagues. Has made a ton of money. Was a pitcher with him at Duke, but they're best friends. Stroman is going to be a part of this too. So that's another guy that's got 750,000 followers, a huge presence, and we're full on doing this. And I don't even know where it's going to end. If it's going to be remote, or I mean, there's been talks about me giving them a lot of my material, and somehow we collaborate on this. So I don't know if maybe they're going to want me to come out and do this live. That could be interesting too. So.
That was
This is
wild.
just so cool, and there's even more to it too. Like he had an album called The Highs, which was really special for me too. I was really going through some hard stuff in firefighting, and it was kind of like my anthem throughout the whole thing. Was
Yeah.
really spiritual healing for me, and so for me to get a chance to help this guy tell his story, and at some point I'm going to give him thanks towards the end, but and we have so many similarities from the injuries, the baseball, the spiritual stuff, manifesting, all these kind of things. So I feel uniquely qualified to help him tell his story, and it's just so real that I'm gonna get to do this with my favorite musical artist, someone that I've been following forever. I'm on some level. I hope that we can become friends through this, but it's just kind of surreal. Like it'd be. I don't know who your favorite musical artist is, but let's just say my wife's is Dave Matthews Band. It'd be like her interviewing Dave Matthews. It'd
Yeah.
be like talking to Dave Matthews' parents.
Yep.
It's just been so cool and so invigorating for me in this podcast. I feel so alive to keep going. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, so I mean, all of that stuff I know is I don't want to say easy, but it's right in your wheelhouse, right? You're very uniquely prepared for
Yeah,
all of that stuff. But if you look at the line of work that he's in and how he has to leverage, his business is designed around an
yeah,
audience too, right?
absolutely.
But like, it does sound like he may have some access to production
Yes.
crew,
Yeah,
documentary, distribution outlets, something that you may not have ever thought of possible with
absolutely.
this.
Yeah,
But like, yes, can your content be mixed with
yeah,
that and delivered in such a way that now reaches, you know
yeah,
what I mean, a much bigger audience, different audience.
yeah.
But
I'm
yeah, really
I'm
exciting.
really curious to see what kind of jumps happen with our viewership when someone like that comes on. And not only that, but obviously I've got this Jonathan Hazinga story coming up, who's this super sought out, independent pitching coach. He's the pitching coach for, Tarek Skubal, Josh Hader, Corbin Burns, all these stars. So that's going to be really cool to do too. I've got Ian Jenkins, the hitting coach, coming up. He's got a 250,000 viewers, one of my favorite hitting coaches. He had a crazy ride with injuries and whatnot. You got something?
I was gonna say, who's the? Didn't you send me a clip of like a really big name pitcher or somebody talking about that
Tarek
coach?
Skubal.
Is that so? So one of the and it was is he the one that like is kind of like the free spirit, like rolls up in his jeep smoking a cigar
Yes.
or
Yep.
something?
That's the pitching coach, Jonathan Zinga.
Yeah,
Yep. Hi Zinga. Yep. Yep.
yeah. Okay, yeah. No, you've been. I mean, so just to give context, you've been working on this stuff for a
Over six.
while.
So by far the longest and biggest story I've ever done. It's over 6 months in production. It's been really hard to schedule some of these guys. So some guys are like, "Hey, I don't have an off day for 3 more weeks, and it's on Tuesday at for 20 minutes." So I've had to wait to slow roll some of these.
Yeah,
So it's been the biggest story by far I've ever done. And he's got what's also interesting about it, or why it's so big too, is that he has 2 careers worth of a story. Like he's this incredible pitching coach that is really out there and holistic, and all these guys go to him. But he had this wild ride through baseball too. Went to Michigan State. So his professional career lasted like 11 or 12 years. Started off, he was an independent ball for like a year, then got picked up by the Brewers. blew out his elbow, and then was in independent ball for like 9 or 10 years, and then got back into affiliated ball with the Brewers again at like 34, which is unheard of to be picked up again, and then
Yeah.
transitioned into coaching and whatnot. But our stories are intertwined too. He was one of the guys on the Cal Ripken show with me. Cal Ripken, the player, the reality show that I was
Oh,
supposed to
that's
be
right.
on,
That's right.
and we just remained friends. And I just thought he had an awesome story. And then obviously the coaching part. So it's going to be, I don't know how many parts it's going to be, but I have so much content to put out when it's time. So next Wednesday is going to be our first sit down. So I'm really excited about it finally happening. Like I said, the longest I've ever worked on a story.
Yeah.
So cool.
So when did the stories start overlapping? Because I feel like when you started, it was like,
One at a time.
okay, all of Apers episode. Yeah, one at a time. All the prep, all the interviews, then the pod. Then you move on to a next one. When did they start really overlapping?
That's a great point. I would say when I started really making this professional and putting all kind of around the Outbox Media time, because some of these guys are hard to get a hold of, so it would take me forever to schedule some of these guys that I need to talk to. So I was finding if I have like 2, 3, 4 of these going at once, organically one of these is going to wrap up quicker than the others, right? So whatever one happens first, just organically kind of happens. And sometimes as I get closer to one, I'll really start focusing on that one more and push the others to the side a little bit. But I feel like I have to keep working on multiple at a time because sometimes there's hangups and pushbacks and someone's kid is sick and they can't do it that day. So you have to have something ready. I really want to try to get out at least two a month. So in order to do that, I feel like I have to have multiple coals in the fire. So that's interesting juggling that too, because like I said, I used to only be like totally tunnel visioned. It has to be this story. I want no distractions, but that's not a reality that I feel like I can keep going forward. So it's been fine transitioning to that. No big deal.
Yeah. So what? And I'm sorry that that this is completely out of left field here, not for the pun, but like you may not be prepared for it. But like, so what? At what have you thought about this? At what point are you able to relieve any of this stuff, not just on yourself? Like, is it okay, now I've got too much to do, it's not just me? Is it hey, this person wants to really financially back the show, so now I can hire someone? Or is there a point where you're like, okay, this is now I'm outsourcing something or I'm bringing somebody else on? Like, what point does that happen?
That's a great question. I haven't really put into parameters of what I think that would be. I guess it would be if I get to a place monetarily wise with my sponsors and whatnot where I feel comfortable doing that. Where I'm not probably quite there yet.
Yeah.
And I don't even know exactly. Like I think when I spoke with Outbox, I mean, it was still pretty pricey. It would have been probably for like a year's worth of service. I mean, like 20, 25,000. It's like you're paying an employee in some ways. So not there yet to be able to do that. That would be kind of like all of my, income from the show. So I think it will be at a point where either I'm bringing in enough money where it makes sense, or I am so overwhelmed with all of the tech stuff that I don't feel like I'm doing what I need to as a host to, do the art of it, So if I feel so weighed down by that I'm not enjoying it anymore, then it might be time to bite the bullet and, maybe just take some expenses and hire someone to do that for me. But I'm also worried about that because I feel like my personal touch is on it. When I'm going through and looking through each podcast and looking through like, this is what I think is interesting, Giving that to someone else is a little scary too, but it would also free up bandwidth for me to just make the calls, and just do the stories and less of the sitting here editing for hours and hours and hours, at 4 a.m. That can get pretty tedious.
That's the fork in the road of every small business entrepreneur.
Yeah, how do you grow?
Is when you fear that everything you personally put into it is the success, and how do you outsource or how do you trust someone else in order to grow, right? Like you've had that first fork, right, where it was like you had to push into some social media and some things that weren't comfortable. So hopefully it's coming, right? Like hopefully enough of these stories or enough opportunities presents itself so that you've got that tough decision to say, hey, now it's too much. This is more than I can do on my own. And that'll be the question, right? It'll be who do I trust? How do I outsource this to make it still feel like my fingerprints?
That's a great point. I'm really curious to see what kind of growth happens after these next kind of higher profile guests that I have on and what kind of change I can look for in terms of sponsors and bringing stuff in and whatnot. But other than so past Ian, which is a cool story I'm working on too, I'm gonna have my first female on, which is cool. The
Oh,
former University of Florida great, I think she was SEC Pitcher of the Year twice, Stacey Nelson is going to be a guest. So I've been wanting to have a female on to represent softball for a while. Both of the Bartletti women rejected me. They're my neighbors and friends, but they're high-level softball ladies here in town. But they didn't want to do it, so Stacey Nelson is going to do it. I'm excited about that.
yeah.
Brad Sellinger is going to be a guest here.
The,
What you got?
oh, yeah. I was gonna say, do they? Is it like a no forever, or is it like, hey, they just don't want to be first, or now's not the right time?
Rosie, who is still a pitcher at UIS right now. I just took my daughter to go watch her the other day. She's phenomenal. Basically said wait. She wants to wait until after her career is over, so she thinks she'd have more perspective and more to say
Got it. Okay.
after it's over. Ellen Bartletti, who is widely regarded as one of the greatest softball players in Springfield history, and an SHG great. Kicked it around and really considered it, and she just didn't feel like it was for her. She didn't feel like she had a lot of stories from her playing career, and it just she said she felt like she's really hit her stride as a mom and as a teacher, and that just wasn't up her wheelhouse. She was super nice about it though, and I love the Bartletti family, so no shade
Yeah.
there at all, but just wasn't her thing. So
Yeah. Which, like, as an audience member and like as a father and things like that, like I think I would enjoy hearing those perspectives as well, right? Like I think she's got more to share than she
oh,
realizes, right? Like we all understand the mental complexities of being the
yeah.
father, right? But like I would love to hear her perspective of playing and then being a mom and all that stuff
Let me
too.
tell you.
So maybe never say
Let me tell
never,
you
right?
this: that I do not consider that a no forever. I will absolutely be circling back with Ellen, and I even tried to kick it to her like, "Hey, I can set this up for you where I can talk to all these people that can speak for you and help tell your story, and also I
Right.
respect their family so much. They do things. They live on our street, and they're an incredible family. They're hardworking. They're good kids. One of my favorite stories about the Bartletti. Let me just start real quick or tell the story is. There was one time a couple falls ago, maybe it was 4 or 5 years ago, but they were out raking leaves at like 9 o'clock at night, and they had construction lights out while they were so they could see and rake. And we always laugh, or my wife and I were laughing, kind of like, what's the backstory to this? And we kind of thought probably told the kids during the day that you need to rake the leaves. This needs to get done. And then comes around 9 o'clock at night, the leaves are not
Yeah.
raked. So you know what? Lights are coming on. We're getting these leaves raked. So that's always what I thought it was, and I just laughed about it. But they're an incredible family.
Yeah.
Mike played baseball at Lincoln Land, University of New Orleans too. Springfield firefighter. Just a great family. Shout out to the Bartlettis. And
Yeah. I think he's where I know the name.
Mike, yeah. And then so I've also got Brad Sellinger
Yeah, I
coming
think
up.
so. Yeah, yeah.
Brad Sellinger, and then also Griff Jurgens. So he was a standout at Chatham Glenwood football. Um, so,
Oh,
but I've got all kind of names up here on my board too.
mid.
What's up?
Yeah. So if from a guy who wasn't in like the Springfield CS8 scene, I know his name for sure. He was definitely a standout
Yeah,
quarterback.
who,
Yeah.
Griff or Brad? Both.
Well, I know Brad with him. Yeah, Griff Jurgens was like mid '90s Chatham
Yeah, he
quarterback.
was
Yeah.
their quarterback when they won state. He was like, he has to be one of the top three all-time CSA athletes in terms of he was like all conference in basketball, baseball, football, all state in football. Went
Yeah.
on to play college football at Northern Iowa, but has always been a family friend of ours. Really cool story. He's one of those guys that, had the nuts to move to Hawaii. Everyone says they're going to say F it all and move to Hawaii, and he did it. And I've always been really curious to kind of, what his life is like. He's really artistic and out there too, so that'll be fun to do. But I'm looking at some names. So I have a whiteboard over here. I'm also working on the Sam
Yep.
Antonacci story slowly. Let's see. I'm going to do a Ben Hartle 4. I'm going to do a John Hogart 2, Will Veerling 2, Connor Law, Andy Antonacci. I still want to do Kim Worth. Jeff Pearlman, the author. Tony Vitello is going to come on later this fall, so that'll be cool. Do you remember
Uh,
Ray King, the pitcher?
oh, pitcher for the
Yeah,
Cardinals.
big black dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be a guest.
Yeah.
Ray King's going to be a guest. Sal Frisella, the first form, a or a CEO guy, Kurt Courtwright at U of I, and then a couple of hitting coaches in there. It's kind of like what I'm looking at right now of kind of what I have on the horizon. But Brad Sellinger will be next. He's up very soon.
Can you imagine, like, so rewind a couple of years? Could you ever imagine that board filled like that?
No, not at all. It's
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of like, okay, who do I know?
Yeah, that was it. That was how we started. Was just okay. I've got some interesting people that I've have connections with. Let me tap them and see where this goes. And now it's like I said, I'm all these crazy names out there, and I anticipate it growing even more. So it's been so fun. It's been so. Oh, hey, merchandise, shirts. That's been fun.
Yeah, I was just gonna say when. So I'm going to baseball coaches convention again, and I know that the SEC coaches go and meet there and stuff. And I was just going to make the comment like I'll wear my my post game spread podcast T-shirt to ABCA and see who recognizes it.
That'd be cool because I'm actually doing I'm going to have the Alabama head coach Andrew Vaughn be a part of something I'm working on too. So there will be some SEC love there. They might recognize that. But that's been cool. Yeah, we had shirts made.
Awesome.
And getting those out. I still have, so there's a free one coming your way. BSN did the first run for me, and I'm sending every guest that's been on is getting a free shirt. And I had a pop-up shop for a while open. And then, so I'm sending you one here soon. But then I also just opened up the Cam Appenzeller player exclusive Slim Reaper shirt, which is pretty cool. Have you seen that?
Yeah, very cool.
So had a local artist.
What's his
Go ahead, buddy.
I was gonna say, not that we like that was a not just a we I don't want to relive and get back into too much of it, but I also thought that was catching him at a really really unique time before the draft and not know like that was kind of a perfect time to have him on. That like, hey, is it college? Is it draft? Like we've talked to some guys after the fact of what goes into those conversations, but never had a guy like in the moment of like, hey, life could change one way or the other
cool
here
moment?
in like a few weeks. Like he was, very. Because everyone is like, oh well, we had some family over and I was sitting by the phone, but like I've never gotten anybody like, hey, what's it feel? What's it feel like in 3 weeks? Like you might get a lottery ticket, or you might get a new job, or you get whatever.
I totally agree. It was such a fascinating time for an 18-year-old to be, at this crossroads of, hey, I'm either going to Tennessee, kind of the number one baseball school in the country, or I'm going to get a couple $1 million and start my pro career. And I just thought it was fascinating to see where he was at, kind of the team that is around him, like what he has gone through in his senior year. Like uniquely, he sat out pitching wise a lot of his senior year to kind of protect his arm and from the cold elements and things like that, and protect his draft. So that was interesting too. And I was super impressed with him. Big Cam fan. Him and I still text back and forth, and he's going to be one of those guys that I'm going to follow. And obviously, we built up a relationship enough where we're making collaboration shirts now. So that's been so cool.
I know, that's awesome.
So yep, I hope you guys check that one out.
Yeah, I've got. So like my corporate office is in Louisville, Kentucky, and so a lot of the folks that are there either come from the Tennessee, Kentucky area, and there's definitely some Vols fans. And they're, from what I've seen from their basketball team is top, their football team is top. Obviously, their baseball, can't think of really a hotter location to go from all sports, right? Like it seems like it's a really good time.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Cam is in a great place. I said it on the podcast, but I was rooting for him to go there the whole time. I just felt like you can't lose when you go there. Like, what a cool piece to his baseball journey. I really think this guy is headed for the big leagues and millions of dollars and all-star games and all that, is going to be part of his story. But what if also winning a national championship and being a pitcher of the year is a part of that story? And also, he's very thin, so I thought it would be smart of him to go and get with a real college program where they have the parameters. They're going to fill you full of food. They're going to lift how you're supposed to lift. He said he's already gained 20 pounds down there. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
20 pounds.
I bet.
Imagine what that's doing for his velocity. So I just thought that would be great for him to go down there, get that exposure, get that experience, and that's going to be part of his baseball experience. So I couldn't be more excited to follow his career. Very bright for that young man. Yeah. You got anything else here, man? We've been going.
Cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I think only things on here is like that. It's, I mean, things have definitely taken off with
Yeah.
sponsors. Obviously, like this. I don't know, not necessarily a sponsored show or anything like that, but I mean, like, is there any like anything new or exciting? Like, I know that you dabbled in maybe some like new equipment or new items or something. Like, obviously, it's still very rooted in Central Illinois, but like, it seems like things are still trajecting
Yeah,
up.
absolutely. I just had another a former teammate of mine, Seth Hudson, has Hudson Chiropractic down in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and he contacted me and was like, "Hey, I want to be a part of the show in some way, even if it doesn't really make sense. It's not going to help my business that much, but I believe in
Yeah.
what you're doing and I want to be a part of it." So he's kind of come on as like a dual Hudson Chiropractic Hudson family sponsor, and so I am keeping. I want to keep the sponsors in around 20 or under because I don't want to water it down, and that's obviously a lot of ads to put on a podcast too. So I know
Right.
people maybe get annoyed by that at times. So for now, still trying to balance all these hometown guys, entities, with trying to gain some national stuff too. So, I fun stuff I've been doing is putting out kind of how a sponsor is connected to me, to the baseball community on my Facebook. That's been really
Yep.
cool. So I'm posting kind of how I'm connected to a sponsor, what their sports background is, and posting a few pictures of them in their glory days. So that's been fun to do too. I think it's fun for me and fun for them to see that. So that's where we're at with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I got nothing else besides that.
Brings everything back
Yeah.
around.
Um,
Yeah. Let's not wait 6 months again. I'll try to close some sales so my confidence is high enough to come
I
back
love
on.
that. I added something here at the end. I don't know if you got anything for me. Did you see what I put?
I did, yeah. And so like I just to give context here, like I kind of talked about it in the entrance, like just when I talk to you, like there's you send me voice notes every once in a while when you're out walking your dog, and then sometimes like I sometimes I'll text back. I don't always do it, and then for whatever reason I had some stuff over the summer with job and things that we're going through with the kids and all that, and I found. And I told you this on there. I never sent you the full thing, but I started walking. I put a weighted vest on and I just started walking with my headphones and I started recording a
Yeah.
voice note. And next thing you know, I'm 15 minutes in, 18 minutes in, 20 minutes in. And then I became aware of it and I start saying on the voice note, I'm like I'm not even sure if I'm talking to you anymore, Blake. Like I know that was that was the direction
Yeah.
of this, but I don't. It just feels good to talk out loud. I haven't done this for a while since now that my father-in-law is
Hmm.
not here. And as I just kept walking and talking, I was just talking out openly into the air, but I realized that I missed talking out loud to someone and that interaction and all that. And so by the end of it, I kind of came to this realization that I'm like, hey, thank you for sending me that note, right? Like if you ever feel like I'm too busy or what you've got isn't important to me, like you sent me something on the absolute right day because it might even have been his birthday. It might have been whether it was or not. So my mother-in-law and father-in-law's birthdays are right back to back or whatever, and it was kind of an emotional day and going through some tough times. And I realized at the end of that just how much, man, if you have a good, I don't want to get emotional. If you have a good person in your life that is there to listen and that you can talk to like deep life stuff about, don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And when I say don't take it for granted, I don't mean that you don't appreciate it. I mean like use it. Like it was very therapeutic to just talk out loud. And then what I thought was leaving you a voice note and then sending you the summary afterward, you kind of put it back to me and you're like, hey, do you think he heard you? And I was like, oh man, that hit me like, right in the chest. I was like, I hadn't thought of it
Yeah.
that way. But man, that was just kind of what I needed to hear right then. So if you've got people you can talk to, and I don't mean to make this reflective of your story either, right? Because but the same for you, right? Like
Sure.
where if you have people that are there that you can talk to that are willing to listen, just use it because man, it felt
Oh man,
good.
that's beautiful. That's a great way for us to end here. I'm so glad we got to do this. I totally agree. Let's not wait 6 more months. Joey, you are worthy of doing an out of left anytime, buddy.
Yeah, no, I just it's a
I
weird
totally
thing,
get
man.
it.
Like I kind of put this in the category of
Yeah.
fun, because I enjoyed it so
Yep.
much. And it's just for a while there, I just kind of told myself, hey, no fun until you get some business done,
That's
And it was brought on only by myself. That was not anyone else's
man.
perspective. And here we are. I don't want to say the finish line, but like years are split up into quarters, right?
Yeah.
Especially in sales and all that. And even though we just finished Q3, it is kind of the wrap up, and we're starting a new season of ours and all that. And hey, Big Mo is back in the dugout. Things are looking
Man,
up.
I totally agree with you. All that you just said. I remember when I'll leave with this, but I remember when my daughter, we were pregnant with our daughter, and I used to do this every once in a while. I would go play video games, NBA Jam, tournament edition with a buddy of mine, and we would get down for an hour or two. It would be our thing. We would do it every once in a while. It was just a social thing that I did. But I got it in my head that all right, I'm gonna be a parent now. I can't be messing around, wasting time like this. Like I don't deserve to be effing off like this. Parents don't do this. And I stopped playing video games with him for like 5 years,
Yep.
and eventually I got back to it, and I was like, you know what? This is good for my soul. This is like friendship. This is bonding. This is
Yep.
competition in a way. I'm not a loser because I want to play an hour of a video game every once in a while with my boy. It's okay to nurture your soul and do something that's good for you. So it's okay to do selfish things sometime if that is good for everyone around you. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. So if you can be a better version of
Yeah.
yourself.
Yep. Couldn't agree.
Yep.
Yep. Could. Yeah. That's the point right there too. It wasn't fair to everybody else around me that I was kind of punishing myself and not being the best version of
Yeah.
myself. And so yeah, now the routine is big, right? Like I can't exercise like hard. Like I see you lifting big weights and stuff. Still, I hurt myself immediately. But just getting better habits,
Yeah.
right? I think I told you that. It started with just walking with a weighted vest, and then I also, luckily I don't drink that much. No drug or gambling issues or anything like that. So like just starting the routine with walking, just kind of instead of coming right to my desk in the morning and being like, work, work, work,
Yeah.
work, work, work. This is the best way to get ahead. It was like take the kids to school. What are you
Yeah.
eating? Go out and walk and clear your head. Start from a good place, and then just miraculously, I started treating
Oh
everybody
man.
better, including
Those
myself.
those
So,
are those habits.
I absolutely put this. I put this pod in, not that we would do this all of the time, but
In
like
that
there were
category.
definitely times that we tried to get together, and I specifically said it's not the right
Yeah.
time, whether it was from my headspace or I just didn't allow myself
Yeah.
to, and it was completely self inflicted.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're doing
Yeah. Me
this.
too. Yep.
It's
I'm
good.
glad you're back to being the best version of yourself, Joey, and that beautiful family needs you, man. So appreciate your time. This is going to be Out of Left with Joey and Blake. We'll be back sooner than last time. Appreciate you guys' time. We're out of here.
So yeah.